Good morning, dear children. Let us continue the lesson motion along a straight line. Okay, last class we have discussed some basic mathematics. Okay, and all these things we have to apply today's class, isn't it? And here in today's class we are going to discuss some important terms that is related to speed, velocity, and then acceleration. Actually, they are the instantaneous speed, then instantaneous velocity, and then instantaneous acceleration. Okay, then let's see one by one. First, we can take instantaneous speed. Okay, instantaneous speed. Okay, before taking this topic, what is average speed? All of you know what is average speed. What is average speed? Average speed is equal to total distance travelled by total time taken. Average speed. Average speed equal total distance divided by total time. This thing you know. Okay, total distance traveled divided by total time. Okay, then here we have a instantaneous speed. You know the meaning of instantaneous. What is mean by instant? Actually, it is time interval or time gap. So here the speed is actually the speed of an object at a particular instant. The speed of an object at a particular instant of time. Okay, or particular time interval, that is called the instantaneous speed. The speed of an object at a particular instant or a particular time interval, that is called the instantaneous speed. Okay, suppose if an object covers a distance of delta x, you know the meaning of delta. Okay, if an object covers a distance of delta x during the time delta t. Okay, if an object covers a distance of delta x during the time interval delta t, then you know the average speed. What is the average speed actually? Total distance divided by total time. So we can write average speed equal to delta x divided by delta t. Okay, average speed can be written as delta x divided by delta t. And from the average speed, we can calculate the instantaneous speed. From the average speed, we can calculate what? The instantaneous speed. So let's see how we can calculate the instantaneous speed from the average speed. Okay, for that here we have to apply some limit. Okay, so we can represent this average speed as, actually it is equal to the limiting value of average speed. Okay, that is the limiting value of average speed when delta t approaches 0. Okay, delta t approaches 0 means actually delta t is not 0. It is close to 0. Okay, that is the meaning here. So here we are applying a limit. Limit delta t tends to 0. What does this mean? Delta t tends to 0. Delta x by delta t, that is equal to dx by dt. That is equal to what? Dx by dt. Actually this dx by dt, that measures the instantaneous speed. Okay, that is, it is the small change of distance divided by small change of time. Okay, that is when delta t approaches 0, then only this value becomes very small. Okay, that is when we apply limit to this average speed, that is delta x by delta t. Which limit we are applying? Limit delta t tends to 0. When delta t approaches 0, so we have a limit here. So this is the limiting value of this average speed. Okay, and that is equal to what? The instantaneous speed dx by dt. That is small change of distance divided by small change of time. That is actually the instantaneous speed. Okay. So we can say from the average speed we can calculate what instantaneous speed. Okay. So actually instantaneous speed is equal to the limiting value of what? Average speed. Okay. Instantaneous speed is equal to the limiting value of average speed when delta t approaches 0. When delta t approaches 0. That is the instantaneous speed. Okay, actually the instantaneous speed means the speed of an object at a particular interval of time or a particular instant. That is called the instantaneous speed. Okay, and from the average speed we can measure instantaneous speed. Okay, for that we are applying a limit here. Suppose if an object covers a distance of delta x during the time delta t, then the average speed equal to delta x divided by delta t. When we apply limit, that is limit delta t approaches 0, delta x by delta t, that is equal to what? The instantaneous speed dx by dt. That is a small change of distance divided by a small change of time. That represents the instantaneous speed. Okay, actually here the average speed is not equal to the instantaneous speed. Okay, average speed is not equal to what? The instantaneous speed. Okay, actually in the case of non-uniform motion, the average speed is not equal to what? The instantaneous speed. You know speedometer. What is the use of speedometer, you know? You know the use of speedometer. Actually it is used to measure the speed of vehicles. In all vehicles their speedometer is there. Actually it indicates, actually it gives the speed of vehicles. Actually it does not give the average speed. It gives the instantaneous speed. Okay, actually the speedometer that measures the instantaneous speed. Actually it gives the speed at every moment. We know the speed of vehicle using this speedometer. So it is not gives the average speed of the vehicle, but actually it gives the instantaneous speed. Okay, we can calculate the speed of vehicle at every moment. We can know the speed of vehicle by using this speed of meter. So the speedometer actually gives the instantaneous speed. Okay. But when we consider uniform motion, you know what is uniform motion? Where speed remains constant. Okay, the speed remains constant. That is, that object moves with a uniform speed. In the case of uniform motion, that object covers equal distances in equal intervals of time. So the speed remains constant. In that case, actually average speed is equal to the instantaneous speed. Okay. In the case of uniform motion, the average speed is equal to the instantaneous speed. Okay, in the case of uniform motion, the average speed is equal to the instantaneous speed. Okay, that is about the instantaneous speed. Here we have the equation for instantaneous speed. Dx by dt is equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta x divided by delta t. Dx by dt is equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta x divided by delta t. Okay, that is about the instantaneous speed. The next is instantaneous velocity. The next is instantaneous velocity. Okay, before that we can see what is average velocity. Average velocity. Suppose if an object moves with a variable speed, we have to calculate what? Average velocity. Actually average velocity is the ratio of total displacement divided by total time. Average velocity is the ratio of total displacement divided by total time. Okay, average velocity is equal to total displacement divided by total time. Suppose during the time t1, the position of an object is at x1 and during the time t2, its position corresponds to x2. Okay, then what about the displacement here? Actually x2 minus x1 divided by time interval is t2 minus t1. Okay, that is the displacement, final position minus initial position. Okay, During the time t1, the position corresponds to x1, and during the time t2, the position corresponds to x2. Then we can write the average velocity as x2 minus x1 divided by t2 minus t1. Okay, and this can be represented as, actually this is the change of position. The change can be represented by using delta. So we can write it as delta x divided by this change in time. That also we can represent it by delta t. Okay, actually this is actually the average speed. The difference between speed and velocity. Suppose along with the speed, when we mention the direction, it becomes velocity. That is only the difference. Okay, here we are saying the direction also, but in the case of speed we are not mentioning the direction. Okay, so here the average velocity can be written as delta x divided by delta t. Okay, average velocity is equal to total displacement by total time, that is x2 minus x1 divided by t2 minus t1. This is actually the change of position. That change can be represented by using delta. That thing we already learned. So delta x divided by change of time, again we can represent it by delta t. So delta x by delta t, that actually represents the average velocity, isn't it? The next we can see what is instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous velocity. As per earlier case, here also we can apply the limit. Okay, so here then limit delta t tends to 0, delta x divided by delta t, that is equal to dx by dt. This is the instantaneous velocity. Okay, isn't it? Here don't get confused. You already learned the same equation for instantaneous speed. Okay, and here we have actually this is a vector. Okay, this is, velocity is a vector and speed is a scalar quantity. Along with the magnitude remains the same, but along with the speed we are considering the direction. Then it becomes what? Velocity. That is the only difference. Okay, so we got the magnitude same as that of what? Instantaneous speed. Only the difference is velocity has direction. Okay, so we can say the instantaneous velocity as the velocity at any instant of time, or a velocity at a particular instant of time. That is called the instantaneous velocity. Okay, here we are considering only a certain time interval. So the velocity at a particular instant of time is called the what? Instantaneous velocity. And from the average velocity we can measure what? Instantaneous velocity. From the average velocity we can measure instantaneous velocity. Then how we can calculate it? Actually instantaneous velocity is equal to the limiting value of what? Average velocity. Actually this is the average velocity. So the limiting value of average velocity when delta t approaches 0. Okay, that is when delta t which approaches, it is very close to 0. That limiting value of this average velocity, that is equal to what? The instantaneous velocity. Okay, and for differentiate this instantaneous velocity from the instantaneous speed, I will do one thing. I will put here the vector symbol. Okay, actually the vector quantities are represented by a straight line with an arrow. Okay, suppose here this is what? This is velocity. Suppose if we put arrow here, actually it indicates it is a vector quantity. It indicates what? It is a vector quantity. Okay, suppose the force is represented as F. Suppose if you put a straight line with an arrow here, this indicates force is a vector quantity. Similarly, we can represent here it as delta x. Actually it is displacement, it is a vector, so we put a straight line with an arrow. Actually this represents, it is a vector. Here also we can put a straight line with an arrow. This actually represents what? Instantaneous velocity. Okay, so we can say the instantaneous velocity means the velocity of an object at a particular instant of time. That is called the instantaneous velocity, and from the average velocity we can arrive at the instantaneous velocity. For that we have to apply certain limit. Okay, so actually it is the limiting value of average velocity. Instantaneous velocity is the limiting value of what? Average velocity when delta t approaches 0. That much small value. So we can write that is equal to dx divided by dt. This can, how we can read this one? A small change of displacement divided by a small change of time. Okay, a small change of displacement divided by small change of time. That will actually gives the instantaneous velocity. That is actually gives the instantaneous velocity. So how we can measure instantaneous velocity? Actually it is the limiting value of average velocity when delta t or the time interval approaches 0. So we got limit delta t tends to 0, delta x divided by delta t, that is equal to dx divided by dt, that is equal to the instantaneous velocity. Next, about instantaneous acceleration. Instantaneous acceleration. Before that we can see what is average acceleration. Average acceleration. Average acceleration. Actually it is the ratio of total change in velocity to the total change in time. Okay, suppose if an object moves with a variable velocity, we have to calculate what? Average acceleration. Okay, suppose if an object moves with a variable speed, in that case we have to calculate what? Average acceleration. Actually it is the ratio of what? Total change in velocity to the total change in time. Okay, total change in velocity to the total change in time, that will give what? Average acceleration. Okay, suppose during the time t1, the velocity of the object is represented as v1, and during the time t2, its velocity changes to v2. Okay, then average acceleration can be represented as total change in velocity, that is v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. That will represent the what? Average acceleration. Total change in velocity divided by total change in time, that is v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. This thing can be written as, the change can be written as delta. So delta v divided by delta t. This is actually the average acceleration. Delta v divided by delta t, that represents what? Average acceleration. Okay, next we can see what is instantaneous acceleration. Instantaneous acceleration. Instantaneous acceleration means what? The acceleration at a particular instant of time. Okay, the acceleration of a moving object at a particular instant of time, that is called the instantaneous acceleration. The acceleration at a particular instant of time. The acceleration at a particular instant of time, that is called the instantaneous acceleration. And from the average acceleration we can measure what? Instantaneous acceleration. From the average acceleration we can measure the instantaneous acceleration. Okay, let's see how we can measure. Here also we are applying the limit. Okay, that means limit delta t tends to 0, instantaneous acceleration. Limit delta t tends to 0, delta v divided by delta t, that is equal to dv by dt. This represents what? Instantaneous acceleration. So instantaneous acceleration is equal to the limiting value of what? Average acceleration. Actually delta v by delta t, that represents the average acceleration. Okay, so it is the limiting value of average acceleration when delta t approaches 0. Okay, when delta t approaches 0, we got the limiting value of average acceleration. That is actually is equal to what? Instantaneous acceleration. So instantaneous acceleration dv by dt, that is equal to limit delta t tends to 0. Delta t tends to 0, delta v divided by delta t. This is actually the limiting value of what? our limiting value of average acceleration, that is equal to the instantaneous acceleration. Okay. So what is average, instantaneous acceleration? The acceleration at a particular instant of time, that is called the instantaneous acceleration. Then how we can measure this instantaneous acceleration? It is measured as the limiting value of average acceleration when delta t approaches 0. We can represent mathematically as limit delta t tends to 0, delta v divided by delta t, that is equal to dv divided by dt. Okay, that is a small change of velocity by a small change of time. Actually, d represents a small change. So, a small change of velocity by a small change of time, that will give what? Instantaneous acceleration. Instantaneous acceleration. Is it clear for you? That is actually the instantaneous acceleration. See here, you know what is instantaneous velocity? You know the equation for instantaneous velocity. Actually, it is v equal to dx by dt. Okay, this is the instantaneous velocity, v equal to dx by dt, and we can substitute for v here as dx by dt. So, instantaneous acceleration a is equal to d by dt of, instead of v we can write dx by dt. Here we cannot cancel d. That thing already we learned in the previous class. Okay, d is an operator. We cannot cancel. Okay, so we can write d by dt of, instead of v we can write dx by dt. And here when this operator goes inside the bracket, actually it becomes d square x divided by dt square. This is actually the form. Okay, so for instantaneous acceleration we have two relations. Either we can write dv by dt or we can write d square x by dt square. So we can represent the instantaneous acceleration in terms of what? Velocity, and in terms of displacement. Okay, in terms of velocity the instantaneous acceleration can be written as dv by dt, and in terms of displacement we can represent the instantaneous acceleration as d square x by dt square. D square x divided, how we can read this one? D square x divided by dt square. Okay, here d square is also an operator, so we cannot cancel these. Okay, d square x divided by dt square. Here d by dt of dx by dt, that takes the form d square x by dt square. You know the d by dt, you know what is d by dt? Actually it is the derivative. D by dt is an operator, that is called the derivative. So instantaneous acceleration is either here d by dt, that is the first derivative. This is called the first. Here the power is actually 1. So it is named as first derivative. Okay, actually dv by dt or d by dt of v is called the first derivative of velocity. Okay, and here the power of d is actually 2. So d square t by dt square, that is called the second derivative. That is actually called the second derivative. So the instantaneous acceleration is either the first derivative of velocity or the second derivative of displacement. Okay, so the instantaneous acceleration is either first derivative of what? Velocity. Either first derivative of velocity, or we can represent it as second derivative of what? Displacement. Second derivative of displacement. So for instantaneous acceleration we have two equations. Either we can write dv by dt or we can write d square x by dt square. Okay, here dv by dt, that is called the first derivative of velocity, and here d square x by dt square is called the second derivative of displacement. Okay, second derivative of displacement. So here the instantaneous acceleration means acceleration at a particular instant of time, that is called the instantaneous acceleration. Then how we can measure instantaneous acceleration? Actually it is equal to the limiting value of average acceleration when delta t approaches 0. That is limit delta t tends to 0, delta v by delta t, that is equal to the instantaneous acceleration dv by dt. Okay, that is about the instantaneous acceleration. Next, about the graphical representation of motion. Graphical representation of motion. Actually, you already learned in 9th standard about the graphical representation of motion. Okay, do you remember that? Okay, that is the motion of an object that can be represented by using graph. Okay, using the help of graph, we can represent what? The motion of objects. Okay, and there are different types of graph there. And for here we have to study only two types of graph, that is position time graph and a velocity time graph. Okay, position time graph and a velocity time graph. Okay, and here the position time graph that can be studied under different conditions. Okay, position time graph can be studied under different conditions. We can consider the position time graph for an object at rest, or we can consider the position time graph for an object in uniform motion, or we can consider the position time graph for an object in uniform acceleration. Okay, let's see one by one. First, we can see the position time graph. Position time graph. Actually, position time graph represents the change in position of an object with the time. Okay, position time graph represents what? The change of position of an object with the time. That is actually called the position time graph. Actually, position time graph is position time graph indicates the change of position of an object with the time. Okay, so here we have two variables, position and time. And here the position is represented along the y-axis and time is represented along the x-axis. Okay, and here the time, which is an independent one, and position that changes with the time. So it is a dependent quantity. Okay, while drawing graph, you have to remember that the independent quantity that is always represented along the x-axis and the dependent quantity is always represented along the y-axis. Here time is an independent one that is represented along the x-axis, and position that is a dependent one that is represented along the y-axis. Okay, we already said the position time graph can be studied under different conditions. The first is the position time graph for an object at rest. Okay, the position time graph for an object at rest. Actually, this graph that represents the position time graph for an object at rest. Okay, here what is the nature of position time graph for an object at rest? Actually, it is a straight line AB. The graph is a straight line parallel to the time axis. Okay, what is the nature of position time graph for an object at rest? It is a straight line parallel to the time axis. It is a straight line parallel to the time axis. Okay, here the object is at rest, so it does not change its position. As time passes, its position remains the same. Here only, it does not change its position. Actually, this indicates the position time graph for an object at rest. Listen to it. What is the nature of position time graph for an object at rest? Actually, it is a straight line parallel to the time axis. Okay. That is about the position time graph for an object at rest. And next, we can see the position time graph for an object in uniform motion. Position time graph for an object in uniform motion. Actually, this graph AB that represents the position time graph for an object in uniform motion. You know what is uniform motion? That object covers equal distances in equal intervals of time. So the position that is proportional to time. So we got an inclined straight line. Okay, so we got an inclined straight line. What is the nature of position time graph for an object in uniform motion? It is an inclined straight line. It is an inclined straight line. Okay, and here from this position time graph we can calculate velocity of the object. Okay, using position time graph for an object in uniform motion, we can calculate what? Velocity. We can calculate velocity. For that, we are considering 2 points on the graph. Let it be P and Q. Okay, we can consider 2 points on the graph, P and Q, and from the point P, we can draw the perpendicular towards the x-axis and y-axis. And here on the x-axis it is represented as t1, and here it is the position is represented as x1. Then corresponding to the point Q, we can also draw perpendiculars towards x and y-axis. The corresponding time is represented as t2 and the corresponding position is represented as x2. Okay, so here we got a triangle PQR, and here we can calculate tan theta. Actually it is a right angled triangle, then we can calculate tan theta. Actually this tan theta, that represents the slope of the graph. Okay, this tan theta, that represents what? Slope of the graph. Then tan theta is equal to, what is tan theta? Opposite side divided by adjacent side. So we can write QR divided by PR. QR divided by PR, that represents the slope or tan theta, isn't it? And here QR can be represented as what? This much distance QR, that is equal to x2 minus x1. Here the initial position is x1, final position is x2. This is equal to this much distance QR. So instead of QR we can write x2 minus x1. Then what about PR? Corresponding to P the time is t1 and corresponding to R the time is t2. So the PR, that is equal to t2 minus t1. So here x2 minus x1, actually that is equal to the displacement, and t2 minus t1, that represents the time. You know what is displacement divided by time? That is equal to velocity. Displacement divided by time, that is equal to velocity. So the slope of position time graph indicates velocity. Slope of position time graph indicates what? Velocity. Okay, that is using position time graph we can calculate the velocity of an object. That is the significance of position time graph. Using position time graph we can calculate what? Velocity. Okay, actually the slope of position time graph indicates velocity. The slope of position time graph indicates velocity. That is the position time graph for an object in uniform motion. Next, the position time graph for uniform accelerated motion. The position time graph for uniform accelerated motion. Then what is the shape of position time graph for uniform accelerated motion? Actually it is a parabola. Actually it is a parabola. The shape of position time graph for uniform accelerated motion, actually that represents a parabola. Okay, and here we can calculate the slope of this position time graph. Okay, actually this slope that gives a small change in vertical coordinate divided by small change in horizontal coordinate. The slope that can be written as a small change in vertical coordinate divided by small change in horizontal coordinate. So we can represent the small change in vertical coordinate as dx and a small change in horizontal coordinate as dt. So we can write dx by dt. You know what is dx by dt? Actually that is equal to the instantaneous velocity. Dx by dt represents what? Instantaneous velocity. So the slope of position time graph for uniform accelerated motion, that represents the instantaneous velocity. That represents the instantaneous velocity. Actually the position time graph for uniformly accelerated motion, that is actually a parabola. Actually a parabola. You know what is the shape of position time graph for uniformly accelerated motion? That is a parabola. Here also we can calculate the slope of the graph. Actually here the slope of the graph is equal to small change in vertical coordinate by small change in horizontal coordinate. So we can write dx by dt. Actually that represents the instantaneous velocity. So the slope of position time graph for uniformly accelerated motion, that gives the instantaneous velocity. Okay, that is about the position time graph. We have discussed actually the position time graph for an object at rest, then position time graph for an object in uniform motion, then and last we have studied the position time graph for uniformly accelerated motion. Next velocity time graph is there, that thing we can discuss on next class. Okay, then after summarizing the 10 things that we have learned today, we can wind up today's class. Okay, first we have learned about instantaneous speed. What is instantaneous speed? Actually it is the speed of an object at a particular instant of time. That is called the instantaneous speed. Then how we can calculate the instantaneous speed? Actually, it is the limiting value of average speed when delta t approaches 0. Okay, so the instantaneous speed equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t, that is equal to dx by dt. Let's see, learn instantaneous velocity. That is the velocity of an object at a particular instant of time. That is called the instantaneous velocity. It is equal to the limiting value of average velocity when delta t approaches 0. It can be represented as limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t, that is equal to dx by dt. The next is instantaneous acceleration. Actually, it is the acceleration at a particular instant of time. Okay. It is the, actually it is how we can calculate this. Actually, it is the limiting value of average acceleration when delta t tends to 0. So, limit delta t tends to 0, delta v by delta t, that is equal to dv by dt, the instantaneous acceleration. Okay, the next we came to the graphical representation of motion. There we have learned the position time graph. The position time graph that can be studied under different conditions. First is the position time graph for an object at rest. Then you know the nature of position time graph for an object at rest. Actually, it is a straight line parallel to the time axis. Next, we studied the position time graph for an object in uniform motion. What is its nature? Actually, it is an inclined straight line. Then what is the significance of position time graph for an object in uniform motion? From there we calculated the velocity of an object. That is the slope of position time graph actually gives the velocity. Okay. The next came to the position time graph for an object in uniform acceleration. Actually, it is the, what is the shape? It is a parabola. Okay. The slope of this graph actually gives the instantaneous velocity. Okay. Okay, children, study well. That is the end of today's class. Thank you.